There are three main components to the pigeon food. There's your protein, your fat and carbohydrates. Of course there's other things in there, there's your minerals and your vitamins, but what you really need to think about is the big three: protein, fat and carbohydrates. Different races need different percentages of these mixtures.
Proteins has to do everything with building. What is building? Building is recuperation, for example, after a race. Building is breeding, building is molting. That's all building. Those are the bricks.
I think pigeon racing is a simple enough method. It's made difficult by fanciers. And I always work along the basis of when they return from a race, they need to recover the muscles from the exertion. By doing that, you give them protein. During the week, after you've given them the protein, they want carbohydrates. And at the end of the week, they want the fats, which gives them the energy.
Years ago, and I'm saying maybe 10 years ago, a lot of fanciers would what they called carbohydrate load prior to the race. And it normally meant up to 60–65% maize in a widowwood mixture, and the last 2 or 3 days of the week to load the pigeon with sugars. But then we wasn't really that aware that fats were the main fuel for flying. Carbohydrates are a form of natural sugars, and it's the natural sugars that gives them the short burst of speed, whether it's escaping from a hawk, leaving the transporter, trying to gain height. It's the natural sugars that do that. But once they've actually gained that height or evaded the hawk, they then go back onto the main fuel, which is fat. And fat burns at a steady rate, whereas sugar burns at a very fast rate.
Fats, without the fats, they can barely fly 500 miles because they've run out of fuel. But with the fats, they can fly. They can realise their potential. Basically, they have to be bred to fly it. But they need. It's like having a Ferrari or a Mercedes car and putting no fuel in it. It'll only go a certain distance. You know, and it's exactly the same with these. Don't matter how well they're bred if they've got no fuel. And the fats is the fuel. It used to be thought that it was all sugars, but it's not. Sugars is soon used, and then it's all fats after that. They need to be in good condition when they come out of the basket, as well as when they need to be good obviously when they go in. But it's better if they're on a rising plane and they come out better than when they went in, or at least the equal. And I think that is why, if you build up on the last 4 feeds, or if it was an extreme distance, maybe the last 6 feeds, that's absorbed into the body, you know, while they're away.
You don't really need to know much about the feed to get your pigeons home from a race, but to get that extra percentage performance out of them and to put you in the top 1% of the result, you really need to make an effort to look at it and see exactly what it is you're giving them.